And let me call the meeting to order at
Yeah.
7:02 PM.
I can share Fred's.
And I can
I have to.
I just want to look at that because I left mine in the office. I'll just share, so we put it right there. Then we can both.
You good?
Yep, perfect, thank you.
Andy Russell has notified me
Thank you so
that
very much.
he can't be here tonight and has asked that Fred sit in his place. Fred has agreed to do that. And Anna, who didn't know whether she could come, but she's not here, in her stead, has asked that Candace sit in her place. So you have Fred and Candace sitting for those two.
That's
Good. So Anita, do you have anything on Valley Shore Communications that we need to deal with?
No, the only thing I had was, for Kelly, I got an email a while back, that it was. That's about 4%. And we reached out to them again, and I'm not heard anything.
And so there's nothing to vote on tonight. Okay. Then the next is animal control.
Anyone you want. You know what, I'll slide next to Fred, this is where I always sit.
Hi,
Thank you for coming.
you're welcome.
I don't remember the questions that we had for animal control. We have a copy of your current budget here.
The budget for
Anita?
animal control was, about 35 hours. We gave the assistant more hours to part of the time that she is on vacation, or if she's out or seasonal. And we just, no cleaner,
What was the last?
no cleaner, it's originally
cleaner.
for 30 more hours for the assistant and how to clean.
There were also.
No, what's it, 30? It wasn't 30. It was just a few more hours.
Right, we didn't, that was, we didn't
Yeah.
want to put
We didn't want to-
we didn't want to put her close to
Right.
29 because that puts us in that like gray zone where
Right.
if she goes over too much, she becomes
So-
full-time.
We also questioned the expense line.
Yeah.
And that was also, Anna had one of those questions about the animal expense. It's
Yeah.
not here, so.
She's not here.
It was,
But I think towards the end of our discussion, we had talked about how some of that came from sort of reconciling what actual costs with the vet were
Right, I remember.
versus the reimbursements. So that it did make the numbers look a little wonky for a couple years.
Just so you know that too, that Anna had asked if I could find some information of when the original facility was built and what was it described as. And we only found it in a 1988-89 Selectmen's report that it says an attractive and efficient new canine control facility at Hatchetts Hill Road was completed and passed all inspections in November. And that's the only thing that we could find in minutes and back paperwork, so. Canine control.
Well, I've been there since 2004 and it's always been animal control and shelter. Martha always had animals there. We always did adoptions. We always, had kittens, dogs. In fact, we had a lot of dogs back then. She also helped other towns. I can remember taking cats, 17 from New London Animal Control when I worked for her. And I'm really not doing anything different than what I've done since I started working here with her. I mean, we are pretty lucky. I just got called from NECOG, which is a regional shelter. They have 20 towns with like maybe 5 ACOs, 20 towns with 5 ACOs, and they have 70 dogs right now from a animal cruelty case. That's not counting what they had in the pound before that. So we're pretty lucky with the amount of animals that we have here. It is worse. People are dumping them. We have issues with a few people that have a cat problem. One of them has moved, so I expected the veterinarian cost not to be so much,
Now, when it sounds like occasionally we get animals from other towns. Do you keep track when we're getting animals that didn't come from Old Lyme?
Oh, yeah. But usually usually when they come from the ACOs, they pay for everything. We don't,
Okay.
Old Lyme doesn't pay for any vetting if they want me to take a couple of these dogs. There's some nice
Vet
dogs.
bills go to them.
Or they give us some money. Yeah, yeah. Or they come already completely vetted, like spayed, neutered, all that. Yeah, no.
So that accounts for their intake costs, but what about the costs of maintaining them at our shelter over time? Is that covered by Old Lyme or by the
Well, the food,
donating?
the food, and really that's all. I mean, if we do have an expense or emergency, yeah, but we get donations. What are we up to? 5,000?
Right now, currently it's $5,000 this year.
Which is appreciably more than past years.
Last year was about 2,000 and before that was nothing.
Right.
We got a lot of donations, but they were doing it. Remember, they were going to the vets.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
And
So
the
now
people
we're
still
tracking.
Are, and I can't really say no, but most, they call me up and ask, I said, nope. I said that money gets used for the animals. That's,
Right.
people are afraid it's not getting used for the animals. So that was the issue, but that's why we've always gotten donations, always, never.
And then, I mean, the other piece that may not be covered is your time when
Yeah.
we're caring for animals for other towns.
Well, we already have animals in there, I mean, usually I don't ever take any more than one or two. So we're taking care of our animals in the pound anyway, so.
Our time is kind of a sunk cost.
I mean, let's,
Yeah,
we can also determine the time that I spend doing adoption events on my days off every Sunday and not getting paid for that, and everything else I do and don't get paid for.
Yeah.
So it definitely offsets,
Are there any other questions or comments for Lynn?
No, I think
no, I don't have other
I
questions.
know that somebody had asked, last meeting, why the animals can't go somewhere else.
I think that was.
Lynn was online, so she's
Yeah, I-
listening.
Yeah.
I don't remember who asked that. I mean, I think that it was a question about, is there some sort of central humane society or?
Humane Society doesn't take from animal control. They bring animals from down south, and I can show you the facts for that. But everybody's full. There's a crisis in Connecticut. The rescues are full. The seizure that NECOG has, they're all purebred dogs, Yorkies, Bostons, standard poodles, Eskimo dogs, Keeshonds, and they can't even get the breed specific rescues to take these dogs because the rescues are all full.
Yeah.
So like I said, what we have, I just got 7 cats adopted this week. So what we have is nothing compared to every other town, and nobody wants our animals because they have more than we do, I mean, but I do believe that once, hopefully, the ordinance that I'm trying to get for the cat lady down at the
Mhm.
beach, I believe that if we can get a lid on that, so that mandatory spay and neuter, that will alleviate. Those were 2 huge problems. I mean, this lady, I've been dealing with her for 8 years. Martha dealt with the other lady.
Not me, not this Martha.
Not that part, the other.
Martha Rumskis dealt with the other woman when she lived over in those little houses. I remember her gathering up cats and taking them and spaying and neutering. And that point, the town paid for it.
Yeah.
But when you have people down at the beach calling you up saying, my cats are the cats are reproducing on the yard. My kids are looking at it. There's dead babies in the, and I've gotten multiple calls. So, that's got to be cleaned out down there. Plus, people come, beautiful houses, and you got all these stray cats all over the place. So like it started, there was about 60 or 70 when we started, and she's still got some down there, but I need to take a break. It's just too much. So, but I do believe once we've already had one person move out, so I think that will be definitely a lot slower this coming year, hopefully this summer. But the complaints, it's not, the animals aren't really the main thing that's taking up the time. The complaints that we get increase every year. Every year.
I think the important thing to know is that, Lynn's job is not a 9 to 4 job.
No.
Somebody has to be there in the morning to feed the animals. Somebody has to be there at night to feed the animals, let the dogs out. And then the other issue is when you get the phone calls, because sometimes the phone calls come at 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
Something's going on.
Mhm.
And Kim or Lynn will respond if they're off I mean, it doesn't matter.
We're on call
They're on call.
24/7, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. So just basically that we were, originally in the first request that we went through before, when Lynn was online, was that she had asked for a cleaner. And then I think it was Andy who suggested she go to 35 hours a week. Would that could that reduce the cleaning aspect? And she said then she'd be able to handle the cleaning of it, more cleaning. And then if we could increase Kim's, right, that was the other thing, to increase Kim a little because of the fact that by adding some hours to Kim's schedule, when Lynn is off on vacation,
Mhm.
somebody has to cover a 30 hours and we can do that for a week or two while she's off, but we can't do it on a continuous basis.
So,
My notes say 25 hours for Kim.
yeah,
So if you look at the increase request, I think Anita's broken it out.
It was 103 for the total of 104 hours. Was the math of the 4 weeks vacation and a seasonal, as if I missed the season.
Yeah,
It's more so than other seasons.
yeah,
So a few extra hours there.
yeah,
So it's really 22 hours a week. And then 4 weeks should be at a higher, to go to with Lynn's, covering for Lynn, should be maybe the 35 with not. And then there's a few other.
So BJ,
Matt?
I'd make a motion for the $111,417 for animal
I
control.
think we need to look at the new page,
122.
22,693.
Six
I thought
nine.
this was my name.
122, 16. Okay.
120.
693. Yeah.
So Matt and David,
Did you not?
motion made and seconded. Is there any further
You got another
discussion?
copy? Love it.
Any
Here, you can
Questions,
just
any
see mine.
comments?
Jeremy.
Call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
okay, well, thank you.
very much.
Thank you,
for
Lynn.
coming
You
out.
guys very much.
She's got it. Did you get
That's
it?
it.
Okay.
Thank you. Yep, thanks. Appreciate it.
Dated.
She take your job for you.
Oh, you know what, Matt?
That's-
Matt, you're up.
Down here in the bottom, it'll give you the date that it was created, 2/25.
The chair, it's like falling apart on the left side.
All right.
Oh,
Safety at work. I
Was
love it.
that kid listening to the discussion about the animal control shelter?
But if you just put it over there, I'll have it.
That's what he did so good.
It better be good. You'll wind up down there, huh? Your new home.
Go hang out, make friends.
Supplement,
Sure.
the police is right underneath it.
They don't know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They don't. Yeah.
Okay, so
We're back in the book for public safety.
we're back, nope,
No.
we're on same spreadsheet, right underneath Lynn.
Right under.
I still that.
Yes,
Thank you. Right to
trying to make it easy.
Yeah,
Okay.
public safety, municipal. planning.
Yeah.
I don't have my glasses on, so I'm trying
Here,
to.
try this.
Well, and then
Ooh,
We come prepared.
look at that. All right.
And some of the questions that you did ask last time, and I verified with Matt was, we moved the ammo to his account.
Mhm.
And took it out of capital.
Yep.
I called Passport, and their fees are 5,000 a month. So that is updated. And we updated batch 6 tier 3 training for the accreditation. We added $5,950.
And what line is that on?
The very last.
5,950 is on the police
Oh,
education.
sorry,
The,
that's actually not trained, I mean, just,
that's where it was.
I know,
Yeah.
it's accreditation though.
Is there any way we can make that a new line item so we don't keep running into this? Because it's really not under that line item.
That would be up to Anita, because it's really, this is a one-time fee for accreditation only. The accreditation process from the state, and then after that, this would go away unless they decide to bring back another
Well, that's, you
program.
never know, like,
I know.
just because that was being taken out of my training budget all last year.
2 years we added, we gave you the appropriation, we put.
Right, for that, yeah, for that year, but
Yeah.
then the last bills were getting billed to my training.
Because you didn't have carryover. Wasn't that it?
Well, but that's what I'm saying, though. It shouldn't be in my training budget, though. It should
Right,
be
it
in
should be a
a separate
separate
line
line.
item for the accreditation. I don't know. And again, that's it.
It won't show it,
It does make it easier to keep track of when it disappears.
right, when it's your track, I'll say,
Matt, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'll go.
Oh, no, I lost my train of thought. Well, that was an estimate from batch 6, so that's not an invoice. And we don't know if there's gonna be more cost, if she finds something, so I don't even know if we can hold her to that hard line of, I think it was like under $6,000 that she quoted Katie.
okay, I can put it.
So that's the only thing that worries me about it, is when we get into the tier 3, if she suddenly finds more things that need to be done.
Dollar amount will still be the same, it'll just go up and up.
So,
Matt, can you tell me
Matt,
what's tier
the,
3? I'm just curious. What is
That's a good question. So basically, a few years ago, the state of Connecticut required all municipal departments and the state police to be tier 3 certified. And all it is just different, basically check boxes. So we're up to tier 2. And by what's date? Is it the end of next year? We have to be tier 3 by like the end of December.
Yeah, but we're
So
starting the process.
yeah, so we started the process, and again, it's just basically check boxes to make sure that we have everything aligned that we should do required to the state of Connecticut and post, so we keep our certification. If for some reason we're not complying with that, then we would lose our certification and not have constables. So it's required that it gets done.
But this is just monitoring, so you're not missing one thing and then it's.
Exactly. So like, we have no clue how to do this. So that's why we hired Badge 6, because this kind of got thrown on the town a couple of years ago. It's a new thing to most departments in the state.
So Matt Wards and Katie Balaka work with Andretta. So we hired Andretta as a consultant because she knows the process and how
Yeah.
to get through it. She's been extremely helpful. But some of the things they asked for too are like policies, like they wanted Board of Finance policies, the last in tier 2. They wanted to know who pays the bills.
Yep.
And it wasn't good enough that we told them it was Anita. They didn't know that.
Yeah. Fortunately, we've streamlined a lot of Badge 6's work, because most of this falls under the state police A&O policy that we pretty much mirror. So we actually saved quite a bit of money, where other times had to start from scratch. So that did help us a little bit.
I'll move the 866015.
I'll second.
motion made and seconded. Discussion, Matt, the principal drivers of the increase are the salaries, which is a done deal. That's a union contract thing. And then police wages overtime are up by $9,000, 11% this year. Why are you projecting that increase?
I didn't increase the overtime,
It's because of the contract.
but for my actual overtime though, I didn't increase that.
No, but it's based on wages.
Didn't increase that is because we've been running with 4 officers, and now we get our 5th officer. So I was comfortable leaving it at that number that we had before to cover shifts.
So you're comfortable leaving it at what you asked,
For the prior budget
88,266?
last year's, yeah, if we could, we don't
Even with
need it.
the increase in their salaries.
Correct, because we gained that additional officer. So eventually we're gonna climb our way out of this hole.
Okay.
Thank you. And then the other item that's listed, Anita, as a new line item is ammunition for $11,000. But we have ammunition expense every year. Why is that a new line item?
Because that was what was in the capital budget, and we moved it out of capital and we put it in his line.
Fair enough. Okay,
The
There's a
logic
note,
was that-
there's a note over on the right-hand side about that.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
okay,
Yeah.
Anita's tries really hard to make.
gotcha. Yep. Those are my questions. Anybody have any other comments or questions? then the,
We
the,
need to amend the motion.
right, the total will be reduced by 9460.
It would be 8565555.
Yep, that's what I got.
I'm sorry, again?
8565555.
Matt, did you make the motion?
David.
I did.
Or
So
Dave, would
I'll
you-
amend it for the 856,555.
Then I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? That passes. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. There's your ruler back and your magnifier. Thank you. Good night, guys.
Thanks, Matt.
Does the puppy get to go on as an attendee?
Oh, yes. You did. Add it to the minutes.
And Vera.
Okay, Doug, next up is General Government Selectmen's Office. Do we have anybody here from the Selectmen's Office?
Yes, but we also have, Tom here for IT, and I don't, oh, no, everybody got off the phone. Suzanne, is gonna dial in when we tell her to, about 50, I need to give her a warning. She's at a basketball game.
Sure.
And what?
Jen Datum's
Oh,
here.
Jen's here. So I would give my time to one of my workers who's given up some time from home tonight to be here, because I live here.
Your choice.
Jen will go fast. Jen will be the fastest.
Tabby's here too. I would just text her. She's upstairs.
Okay, well,
I'll tell her to come back.
you're less confusing. So if we look at, the registrar's budget. Getting new tabulators.
We're getting new tabulators from the state, yes. And we're getting a new voter registration system.
But do the are they coming Monday just to pick up the old?
They're coming Thursday to pick up the old tabulators and the ballot boxes. And then we've been told, because we have a school budget referendum the first week of May, we're going to be in the first wave of towns who get the new tabulators. We anticipate the first 2 weeks of April. And we're getting 7 new tabulators and 7 ballot boxes that we have to find a place to store in this building. Similar size to the previous ones.
We're anticipating sort of the extended voting situation.
Thanks, Anita.
You're down here on the bottom and then the next.
Okay, thank you very much. Early voting?
Yeah.
So early voting, as of right now, thank you, will continue as it has been. There's talk of the state legislature. That's where where it will have to change if it does change. They're talking about reduction in the total number of hours, not necessarily the total number of days, but that has yet to be. Well, so for example, instead of 8 in the morning till 8 at night, maybe for the morning 8 to 12 and then a nighttime session from 4 to 8. I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. And we've been told to, contact our state legislators to give our opinion on the impact to the towns. We've also been told that this governor's budget to the Secretary of the State's office does not have any funding to the towns for early voting, as they gave us a little bit of money last year.
Is allowing towns to restrict the voting period to 1 week, is that one of the options
No.
discussed?
Uh,
Go to 1.
It's all happening at the state level. So we just kind of wait to see what they tell us. But at the same time, individually, we can advocate for what we think is best. But it's, as of right now, it's 14 days for a general election, 7 days for a primary, 4 days for a special election, and no early voting for a referendum.
So the change from the current year's budget to the proposed is from 127,600 to 146, a total of $18,000, most of which is the 14,800 for early voting.
Correct.
And is that based on a prospective estimate or on your prior experience of how much you think is going to?
Both, because we have to plan for what potential elections there could be. It's a municipal election year. We don't anticipate a primary. We typically don't have primaries in municipal years, but we have to plan for it because if there is one, we need to be ready to support that financially. So that's why we've put that in. And then, of course, the general election in November. And if there's any additional referenda besides the school budget referendum, that's an additional expense as well that, we don't know at this time, but
So I'll move the 146,010.
Second.
And Dave and Matt, any further discussion, questions?
I also want to ask about the mileage, the money for the mileage and the
Yeah.
postage. That you haven't really used that amount in
that's correct.
years, and I hate to quibble over 12 months of money here and there. for the money in your package.
We could see it. We would be fine with a cut in mileage. We'd be fine with a cut in postage as well if that was. But mileage, we're starting to use a little bit more now as we go back out and attend conferences and regional meetings.
Yeah, so the mileage in 500.
500.
What would you?
250 would be fine, 200 would be fine, I'm sure. Although the rates went up to 70 cents a mile, so
That's right.
you get a little bit more when
If they
you
go to where would you most likely have to go? Of course, Hartford, right?
Hartford, and then the conference is usually in Windsor, and then we have monthly meetings in Montville. So those are kind of our driving radius.
No big changes.
And we carpool, so. No big changes, just getting out more post-COVID, to more in-person, like our training that's coming up in April it's in-person training for the new voter registration system, which is called Total Vote. And that's in person in Hartford, so we'll put in for that.
Yeah.
So there is some additional,
So you have some potential trips.
So how many trips to Hartford is that?
one trip to Hartford, possibly 2 days to conference, which is in Hartford. Once a month to Montville.
I think you're gonna hit the 500.
That could add up quick.
Yeah.
We're only talking about pennies here.
Yeah.
I'd leave it.
I'm not.
I'm not amending my motion.
Well, do you want to leave the postage as it is too? Because that's.
Yeah.
And postage went up too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, postage has gone up, and we do have our canvas coming up, which is mandated, where we not only do we send letters, but we give them a self-addressed self-postage envelope, which increases return to us,
Yeah.
which is to our benefit. So
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
No.
Calling for a vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
There's one on the table, I think.
And who's next?
Can you give it to Tom?
So Tom, your budget is going from this year 249.58 to 250.90, a modest increase.
The selectmen's
Oh, I'm sorry.
budget
The
is slightly
selectmen
different.
Reduced it to
It's
239.
239.
They reduced your budget.
We had gone through a couple of meetings where
Mhm.
we went through line items and knocked costs down where appropriate.
Yep.
So halfway through the year, you spent 102.
Sorry, can you direct me to where you're looking at this? One of the
Yeah.
challenges I've had is not having the right
Yeah,
paperwork.
so that's as of 12/31/24 column.
Okay.
in the middle.
the bills you
Okay, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
What line
If you-
item are you on, David? I'm just,
No,
The
deposit.
total.
oh, total, sorry, okay.
Yeah.
102.
So you guys have been through this with a fine tooth comb, and it feels like we're gonna have more expenditure in the second half than we did in the first half.
It looks like there's maybe a few contracty type things that just haven't happened yet, maybe. Service contract ERSI,
Well, one of the
domain.gov.
Domain.gov is a $0, so
One
We've
of the things
confirmed
that
that.
happened, we moved Civic, town hall website, Civic Plus to Tom's budget for $14,000. It originally was in the town hall contracted services, but that is more of an Eric account now, so we felt that to move the 14,000 to Tom's budget, would be the right place for that to be for the website.
So
think
so that $8,000 increase isn't really an increase.
It's
The civic plus and you feel copy like.
But it was
14,000.
previously elsewhere in the budget.
No,
So
in terms of the
it's like
town's
for the
overall budget,
Grand
it's not an
total, it's
increase.
not changing.
Yeah.
Which line item is that?
It's for, contracted services.
Town hall website,
It's-
Civic Plus.
Civic Plus.
Oh, okay, got it.
Any further
So,
questions or discussion, Martha?
Anita, can I just ask, I mean, Civic Plus, have we just not paid them yet as of?
Being town hall fund. That's where they were paid this year.
Okay,
Yeah, the biggest item is software upgrades and then consultant.
The software upgrades currently, I'm getting the visual as.
So that's just a delay, so.
It's 2640. It's the fixed asset program that hasn't been updated since 2003 or 2013.
But we've only expended $200 out of $9,000, so that explains a little bit of the difference. So, got it. Thank you.
The other thing Tom did ask, he did ask, and it was even the salary committee, did not prove it because they wanted more information. He was looking to have
summer intern.
summer.
Last year we had a summer intern for free because the intern was receiving college credit, so he could not receive financial stipends from us.
But we did have him in over Christmas. And we did pay him $20 an hour for a couple of weeks of work. So that's what I based the calculation on. Whether it gets decided to be approved or not, it's a different
So
story.
this is a local student from Emerson who is majoring in cybersecurity and, wanted some additional time. But Tom had a project at Christmas time, so I took it out of my internship budget, part-time budget, to pay him for those 2 weeks that he was available to help us on that small project.
So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
if approved, you would use this resource for that internship?
Yeah, there's a.
You know he wants to work this out.
No, that is a question that's, still out there. We put this in, just the other week.
Contingency. Yeah.
And, but it's still up to him. He may have a different job or not be interested, but.
Yep.
For this individual, I mean, we could certainly, the projects that we've put out there as potentially for this person to do are important, and I would like to see them done. Whether it's this individual or someone else's, still remains to be seen.
So you written something up?
I did it very, very briefly.
Did you want to just tell us a summary of it?
Yeah, well, there were 3 projects. One was designing and creating a formal IT asset inventory, which is actually something that I have wanted to do since I came on board here a couple of years ago. The second option would be design and create an internal ticketing process to manage IT and facilities workflow, which would help the day-over-day task management in the office. And then I also thought there was potential to create and populate a database. And Martha, this goes back to a request you had made when you started a database of key user credentials and functional checklists to support business continuity and disaster recovery plans that we're currently working on. So basically organizing the information along those lines.
So basically, as you can see, we basically the salary committee was still reviewing the request. BJ was there when we talked about it. Andy was not, but basically it's the 12 weeks times 29 hours, $20 per hour.
So what would the final number be to make a motion? It's not the 239,090?
Well, the 239 does not include the 6960.
That's what I'm asking,
So
yeah.
it's basically you have to add 6962. Is that right? 6960?
1 second, I can give it a moment.
I'm sorry.
So that's
I could've done it.
245, 150.
I got 257050.
The 239,090.
Oh, I'm sorry, 239 said, sorry.
I got 246,050.
Sorry, I didn't get it.
Wait, what was it?
150.
246,050. Does that sound right?
What are the two numbers to put together? I thought it was 245.
29 hours times $20. And then
Times 12 weeks.
050.
Yeah, that's what I got.
348 hours.
Okay, so the question is, do we want to approve the,
246, 150.
yeah, to approve the
050.
increase of 6960 to make it possible for Tom to hire the intern for those projects?
How is it zero?
Hold on, I might have done it wrong.
What is the,
Yeah, what is the?
It's 6960 plus 239090.
okay,
Goes to 246050.
okay. That's the number I'll move.
Second,
All right.
or was it already seconded?
David, and
We already did.
has it been seconded before?
No, Kim has the second.
So David and Kim. The motion is on the table that includes the money for the interns.
And excuse me, I don't want to jump in where I shouldn't, but I had a list of additional questions that you folks had, at least on the paperwork I have here that, we haven't answered yet. So maybe you want to do that before you
Sure.
take your
Yeah.
vote. Just in case, changes someone's mind. I
Is it
don't know.
concerning capital projects or this particular grouping?
It is, not, these are not, some of this is capital.
Okay, so we're not discussing capital in this part of the budget. I
Okay,
just want you to know that.
Okay.
But if it's something that has to do with your general government budget, those line items that you see on this page.
yeah, well,
Tell us what it is.
okay, so these are actually items that some of them have been raised as potential, and we haven't had a chance to sit down and discuss whether they need to occur, but I put them in the budget in the event that they did. Specifically, town hall refresh, which is a capital item. So that with that one, we'll skip over. Disaster recovery is
I think it's also,
also capital. Yes, you're right. And then the third one is network wiring and capacity. This one also is capital. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'd rather.
No, thank you for.
Yeah, yeah, no, thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we've got the motion on the table for 246,050. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Right.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Go get them, Tom.
do you want to do this capital or do you want to just review all capital at one time for general government?
Let's do it at one time.
Huh?
Let's wait, yeah.
You might get to come back again
Or just have the answers. Should have.
or
Yeah.
call or just dial in.
Well, whatever is best for the group.
Thank you.
All right, all set with me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think the only thing I have to do, I don't know if we need Suzanne. You can do me.
I do. Thank you.
So shall we go back up to you, Martha?
Sure. I'll tell Suzanne that she wants to dial in if she can, and then you can do it next. She does.
For the tax collector, you mean?
Tax collector is like $1,000 difference from last year's budget.
We try to keep things.
So that's pretty easy.
Yeah, Suzanne, if you figured a new tax.
Or are you gonna do near me? Where are you gonna go? Where do
That's
you wanna go?
up to BJ, yeah.
BJ, where do you wanna go? Selectman's office?
Yes,
Okay, go ahead. Put him out there.
well, the total for the selectmen's office is going from this year's budget of 384. Is that right? 24, 25
34269.
to next year 446.
446, 867 is for the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah,
The budget that was added there, they had a part, it was a $10,000 for the Shoreline Gateway, master plan. They put it down, the $10,000 land banking should become a parcel. They can request it at that time. So that's the part that they didn't, they thought you could hold off and only give 18 instead of the 28.
So what is, oh, sorry. go ahead.
I don't know where we're starting. Go ahead, tell me what you want to know.
Oh, the gateway plan's way down at the bottom.
Yes.
Okay,
I sort of like to start at the top and work down.
yeah.
so in terms of the major increases, the first large one is this, it says part-time wages, selectmen interns
All right, so
for
I can,
18.5.
so I can explain that program. It's a program through UConn. It's for a master's student to come and work from August through May. It's 100. I'm sorry, let me just, I blanked for a minute. But basically, they give us 15 hours a week for every week from August to May. We pay UConn the 18.85. The intern gets about 15 of that. 3,000 of that, of course, goes towards expenses for grad school. They do not see. So here's the program.
So how many weeks is that? Just,
August to May. It's about 12
It's like
weeks out.
9 months.
It's about 12 weeks out.
Yeah.
It's about a 9-month program. And here's the deal. We don't know if we'll get in. So the problem is right now, what we do is we provide a job description to UConn. They put it out there and then people have to apply now. If they want, it goes to an interview process with us. We may not find the person that we're looking for. The person that what we're looking for is someone to look at policy, to review policies that we have, and to make sure that we're up to date with the Connecticut general statute policies that we should have in a town. So to do some comparisons, because we are lacking on some of our policies, and somehow we're working with them, but they've never been formally approved by either the Board of Selectmen or Board of Finance. So I am a little concerned about that. And then one of the other things is not to just policy, but to also look at it's an ordinance review, which Vicki and I both think needs to be looked at, just to make sure. We've had some that have been updated since 1978. We just think maybe there's been a change or two, not sure. But we find little glitches every once in a while, and we wanted to put them through. Hold on. And hold on 1 second, Suzanne.
Excuse me.
Huge.
Can I slide through? Excuse me. Gotta get out. Sorry.
I think I can use it.
Hey, excuse me. I need it.
I did successful.
Good
What?
job.
That's what I did.
We'll see. All right, so then they come to an interview process with us in April, and basically by May, by the time we go to town meeting, we would actually know if there's probably somebody in it, and we could pull it. But that's what it would be. And like I said, nobody may apply to come to work, no line. Nobody may be of interest.
What is the grad program that we would pull from?
This would be, we would be asking for somebody from policy and municipal government.
That's a major,
Policy is policy. It's basically you're
broad. But if it exists, okay.
Go on, anything. Everyone.
I think she's unmuting herself.
I know. Suzanne, I'm muting you for a minute.
Tug of war.
We'll see. Anyway. It's a program that we looked at last year and then we had some internal difficulties where somebody from in-house said, well, I'd get paid more if I did the program. I said, you can't apply. It's for a grad student and it's through this UConn thing. If you were a UConn student, you could apply, but you're not. And so instead of getting into the tussle in the war, we just dropped it and said, forget it. UConn came back to us this year and asked, and where's Katie? Katie's done a lot of work with, is it John or Stephen? One of them. To do it. And Jill Karenberg is also our HR person, is also be in touch with UConn to look at it. And Jill's the one who sort of created the job description for these particular projects going forward. Like I said, we didn't have it last year. It's just that I know that a lot of times people say to us, oh, let's just increase people's hours. Well, you know, if you increase somebody's hours in tax, that's great, but they don't really want to come and do policy. They've got enough room, more work to do in the tax department they could do. So it was just something that we could get done for the town that I thought would be beneficial.
I mean, it seems like a discrete project too, that could get completed and then sort of
They
tied
don't,
up and be done.
if we get the right person, yes.
Right.
And we won't hire them if we don't think it's the right person, because we know our standards.
And then we're increasing the other line item for interns by $5,000. Is that right?
Which other one?
There's two line items for interns broken out.
The line just above the 1850.
Yep, that's
That was
going up.
like some part-time help. So a couple of things that have happened, like we've had some part-time help for helping edit some of the videos to put up on the website. We've also used, we've had a high school student that's helped out in the summer, was helpful with Michelle selling we won't call them, sorry, they're parking passes, and also did some work with Katie for part-time. And then throughout the year, like our cybersecurity guy who said he could come in for 2 weeks, I figured out how much I had left in the budget line and I said, well, I could pay him out of that. But it's basically for those hit or miss little types of things where we need somebody for like 5 to 10 hours to do something, or a summer intern.
But we're coming up with new stuff of $5,000 for beyond what we did last year, right? We spent 22.
You sent the $5,000 last year. You budgeted $5,000 last year.
Right, and we spent $2,200. And
So that's this
the
year.
request this year is $10,000.
The 2,200 is this year.
Oh, why did we?
Yeah. So,
Last year we spent 4,600.
right.
I didn't think we asked to go to 10. I thought we were keeping it at 5.
Are you good with
I'm
5?
fine. I'm fine with 5.
Oh, okay.
If we're gonna have the other intern, I don't think we need.
Okay.
I think that was massive in case you didn't, you would have someone else come in and do.
Well, so it sounds like before we vote on the budget, you'll likely know if the UConn person is coming.
Oh, I don't have the schedule. Can you grab that really quick? Just some,
Yeah, and I feel like it
this
was.
is timeline.
It's
April, we interview, I think, and then May they determine whether it is, and I think Jill and I looked at it and thought it was like the week before our town meeting.
So if you needed it, like if you found out, like we didn't find anyone through the UConn program, no one's coming, you could adjust that upper line.
That 18.5 would come out.
The 18.5 would come out,
18.5
and
would
if you felt like you had other projects, someone who wasn't a master's student could tackle. There might be other adjustments that get made.
You could ask for a little bit more on the intern line, the other line, 5, put the 5 back on the intern line, and it'll give me a little extra people. I'd really like to find a student from Oline that's a college student. High school students are wonderful, but there's just, you gotta have the right person to go get her. And there are some, but
Martha, the new America 250 committee,
That is, a 1 year only, for 2026, because America celebrates their 200,000. I mean, 200,000, sorry, not 250, 250th birthday. So, every town in Connecticut and basically the United States is developing these committees to plan activities throughout the 2026 year. Mostly ours will most likely take place in the summer because we tend to have better weather then.
So my question will be, what do we think the 13,000 is going to be spent for? But before you answer that, the comment says requesting 5,000 matching grant may be a possibility. What does that mean?
I don't know, because Cheryl,
The original request, and then when they came in, it went up. Their original request was gonna be 5, and they went to 13, because they weren't sure with any grant funding money. And they just, and I remember that was, Jim was in the meeting with us.
Yeah.
And he's part of that.
Do either of you know what the prospective expenses are going to be for the 13? What were they going to spend the money on?
the communication, marketing, if there was anything to purchase. I mean, fireworks are gonna come out of the regular fireworks budget. Whether there's special events that they want to plan for that particular event, maybe they want to have pay that Lime Town band to come and do another event, something like that. I
Mhm.
don't have the specifics. The committee is only met once. They have 4 members at this present time, and we are continuously putting out the feelers for other people in town to join in, because this is supposed to be an event.
So
A series of
the
events.
events would take place
And
before
so,
June
right,
30th.
It's
In
for the copy
2026.
book,
Yeah.
and it's-
Or would they take place throughout the year?
They would be planned in 2020, I mean,
Five,
planned, but some of the events would take place in July of 2026. So I could see a reduction in next year's, because most of the things be happening, I would assume, starting with July 1st of 2026. So maybe some seed money for them to pull some of the committees from things. So I don't think the 13 is necessary so much in this year's budget as it might be in the following year's budget for July.
What do you
mean-
suggest?
If you go in
Yeah.
your book, it should be at the second page. You know, very detailed, you know.
The general government, second page of the data.
The second page, your order should be dated on top.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So you can see that in January 9th, we can do leading up to the anniversary, which is technically 4 days after the close of the 25-26 budget. And there are matching grants. Could we put in a request at this point for 5? And then it says here, changed BOS. Board of Selectmen. So we did have a discussion, and I'm sorry, I don't have my notes on it at that time. But she said by late spring, we should have a better sense of what the committee wishes to move forward, that would be the late spring of 20.
So this year's budget, we could put that $5,000 as seed money, and then we've got next year's budget process.
I think that what Cheryl's just concerned is that some of these activities could come right after the budget starts.
Or could
Right.
require a
Right,
deposit.
but we will have passed the budget in May at that point for July 1st expenditures.
She's just thinking that if she had to put a deposit down in June, she wouldn't have the funding unless you give her some seed money.
It feels a little open because we don't, is she gonna spend $100,000 and needs $13,000 for a deposit? No, I'm just
No,
saying,
no,
what
she's not.
order of magnitude are we talking about?
No.
It feels like it's kind of like it was 5, now it's 13, but nothing's identified. They're gonna be planning all this year. So if they need to put a deposit down, what could that deposit be that would need $13,000 instead of the 5 that was? And again, these are not, there's a lot of nice to haves and we've got a big budget.
I know we do.
So
So
just focusing on the material things.
maybe
like-
we could reduce it. I mean, I know that Jim
If they need the money, we've got up to
I mean,
20 grand.
the
to
other,
afford.
the other piece is that this also seems like one of those sort of discrete projects that we've said, well, if it's, you know, a discrete project with an end date, you know, we could see rolling funds over year to year. So we could roll funds over into next year too.
I don't know if this is the budget you want to overfund something and have carryover in, but
Split the difference and give them 8.
I'm fine with that. I mean.
again, they can always come back if it's
That's what I'm-
June
yeah.
1st and they're like, shit, we need
Yeah.
pardon my French, but we need 10 grand for a deposit. Come to us.
I
and-
think as they start to get into more of the planning, I think they'll have a better idea.
They're
Well,
nowhere.
what if
I agree
all,
with you.
yeah.
I agree with you. That they can come forward and say, these are the projects that we want to do. We've used the 5, let's say we give them 5 so they can have some seed money or whatever.
Yeah,
Give them the 5 and they come in and say, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We need this to get us to June 30th, but for and then in next year's budget, they can. put
yeah,
it-
I'm sure by April of next year,
They'll
they
have
will
a very
have
good
a
idea.
lot more detail
Yeah.
with a budget, et cetera. And the
Right.
5 grand should be able to get them through.
I'm fine with that.
So
We'll reduce the 13 to 5,
Sounds great.
Yes.
and a reduction of 8.
and then the only other,
And a reduction of 5 above,
Mhm.
so it's a total of 13.
I'm sorry. We're going back to the original 5.
they
Right.
requested 5, yeah.
No, that's it, because.
And we reduce the intern line by 5 as well.
So total.
Are you talking about the Shoreline Gateway?
No.
Which
No,
one?
the
is it
intern,
about?
we took the money.
Oh, there, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
5,000.
But we haven't discussed Shoreline
Oh.
Gateway yet.
So far the savings are 13
13.
and 5.
No, 5 and
No,
5.
There's
10.
5 for the intern and 13.
No, an 8.
They've taken 10 off.
We're leaving 5 in that line, we'll leave 5.
13 to 5.
Okay, oh, okay. Oh, right, I'm sorry, I'm
So-
a long
so
on it. I
far,
thought it was
you're saying
18.
13. Then you have Shoreline Gateway, and if you look at the right-hand side in your notes column, you can see that basically the Shoreline Gateway Committee has been in effect since 2021, when EDC asked us to create it. Matt Ward and I were co-chairs for a while, and then Michaela Pearson and Chris McHugh took over. Chris has just recently stepped down due to some requirements from his family. So they have been working, and basically they're looking for to do a master plan, because basically this is the area of town from Otter Rock Road town past the police station on Shore Road, and then through the Soundview district, going down Portland, Hartford, Swan, and also on the north side as well. So basically, they're looking to do a master plan, and they want $10,000 for it. And they would also like to revisit the blight ordinance. So to draft it, I don't think it's going to cost 5,000, because I'm pretty sure we have a very solid draft of the last one.
Get like 8 of them.
And then she added some legal expense lines. And then
Events.
events. And then she also talked about land banking, and that's why we took the 10,000 out.
Her request of 28, you took the 10 out, so it's 18.
Yes, and we took that out, and if, Anita, you can correct me, but basically we said that if a piece of land came available down there that they felt that the town should purchase, then you could come and we can go to town meeting.
Mhm.
Because I know that you've looked at some of the properties that are down there. I mean, there are a number in that area that are for sale at the moment.
You need a lot more than 10K.
We're gonna go for a lot more than 10,000.
Right, and they're thinking that they should want a land bank like open space does or whatever. I just don't really think this is the time to start that.
Mhm.
I think that this town, if there was a piece of land that we really felt was necessary for us to continue in.
And probably, well, I don't know whether Michaela's thought was a blighted property, let's the town buy it, tear it down, and it's no longer blighted or something like that. But so that sounds like a good plan that the Board of Selectmen has come up with in terms of the request versus
We
what
would
the
come to
budget
you
is.
if we found a piece of property that we felt was necessary to buy.
Yeah.
Mhm. Good.
The increase in engineering is an increase of $4,000 too. And the notes are a little bit unclear. Public Works, I guess, and
So
SNO, I
my,
don't know what
my
that is.
budget, and I thought that we had decided more to give to Ed, to add more to Ed's. So here's the deal. We have engineering in mind. It was $1,000. And then we have Ed's. And then you know who gets the bills?
Yeah.
Me. So my $1,000 disappears within 1 month when you get to Jacobson for something. So like the Sluice Way, or you call them and say, okay, Grassy Hill will come out of Grassy Hill. But there are things that come up, and a 20-minute phone call is $75. And it just eats away. So you try to make a list, and then you try to cover it all in 20 minutes. But mine disappears. So then I go, and then I just shift the bills over to Ed's. And Ed said to me, I never use it in there. I said, well,
That's because you,
you probably should in some instances. So Ed, as far as I'm concerned, you can move some money to mine. You can move some money to Ed's. I don't care. I'm just going to tell you, that's the way things have to work here, because $1,000 is not enough for a first selectman to get any type of a project off the ground. And I think anyone who's done a project knows that that's not it. If $1,000 goes very quickly.
got it. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Then Anita, what's the total when we subtract, $13,000?
Well, just on the engineering thing, we added $5,000 to Ed's engineering too.
I don't care what.
Okay.
Like I said,
it just doesn't.
I'm just letting you know that I've never, let's put it this way. No, I won't say that. Oh, it's okay. We need different people may use an engineering budget differently in the future.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't need it at all.
Okay.
But there are phone calls that I'm gonna have to make moving forward. Something happens in an emergency, I'm gonna call Jacobson.
But when you make it, can't you
I can.
hit
I said-
Ed's budget?
I just said that to you.
Placeholder.
But then Ed gives them
So if you-
pushback and says,
That's a cheap phone call. That's no dollars.
So you look at me.
Ed,
like
I'm
that.
sorry.
I'm over budget right now. I'm at 2,508. I only had 1,000.
But that's because you didn't hit Ed's budget.
Well, I do. But I was trying to be respectful of his budget, and that's when Anita said to me, to put it onto his, because it's a town project.
That's why we put clarification over there. It's up to you. If you want
It's totally up to you. I don't care where it
Yeah.
goes.
We're fine with
I don't care what you do.
But
Just-
Kim's point is we increased Ed's and we
I just
increased
want-
this one.
right,
Are we looking
right.
for a 10,000 as a town? Are we looking
Right.
for a $10,000
If
increase
we go,
in engineering expenditure?
we haven't done Ed's budget, Anita.
yeah, we did. I don't care where the engineering budget sits either. I
Okay.
just want to make sure that we're clear that there's an increase here and there's an increase on.
It's a
Ed's side.
$10,000 overall increase that we're talking about?
Are we over on Ed's at the current, what's Ed's current usage? Can you look
Yeah,
quickly?
that's a-
I could do public.
all things being equal, it seems like it makes more sense to have it in Ed's budget, because then we know more specifically what that engineering was for. Whereas when Martha does engineering, it could be for anything.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's in Ed's budget, we know it's for something having to do with, part
Well,
of-
to Martha's point, to kick something off too, if you're just starting out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
for things she has to deal with to come up.
yeah, but the overall number of $10,000 increase. And then the home is the
Well,
second question. So-
I mean, the other side is that if all the engineering comes out of Martha's budget, she's then more empowered to just say, Ed, engineering costs go to Public Works.
No, it was down,
Am I reading the wrong line?
and it says right here, if you look at Ed's line, it says need to discuss public works or SO. So that's why it's in both. So if you
Okay.
want the other was your choice.
No, but to your
If you want
point,
to say Public works, we can take it out, there was selectman office and she'll turn it in the public. Works.
So the idea was overall increase was $5,000.
Yes.
Right.
So we'll
And
take
it-
it out of here.
Okay,
yeah, because we did
Okay.
approve, Ed's did go. from
Fine.
We did approve
15 to
it,
And
20.
then it also
Yeah.
the-
so keep the 1,000 or
So we'll
something?
keep 1,000.
just so you have a line to.
Okay, so now we're down, what, 17? Is that right?
Yes,
5. That's 6, 5. 8. Yeah, 8.
429, 867.
That's what I have.
Yeah.
Well, I'll move the four
Yeah,
twenty-nine,
that's a
86.
good question. It's a delicate thing, and I'm not here to quibble at all. But just to understand, I mean, the raise of the selectmen is pretty high, 6.5%.
That's
I
just,
just like to understand how that's being determined.
How what being determined?
that's from the salary committee.
It's the salary.
Yeah.
committee.
It's not, it's what was in the salary range as
Okay.
it goes through.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't have it in front of me. It's a step 4. I think it's a step 4.
Yeah,
It was all through the salary.
So my beginning salary was determined by Tim.
Yeah.
I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And then the salary committee, the salary study was completed,
What was budgeted?
budgeted.
Yes. Tim didn't say you're getting
No, he talked
50
to her.
grand.
Yeah.
He did.
It wasn't part of the budget?
Yeah,
They had a conference. A
But
conference
this,
before I arrived.
this is from the salary committee, so
Correct.
it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't,
Fairly determined, so.
I
they have
do.
their procedures.
I'd be
for
more
doing
than
that.
happy to take you last.
No, I'm not here to quibble. I just want to
I
understand.
don't care.
The
Only
whole
to-
procedures.
Yeah,
The-
no.
I'm happy with what.
survey.
I know you work very
And I
hard.
don't, by the way, I don't take my raises till November.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really come out into play because I believe that you should get your raise on your yearly date and
Yeah.
my yearly date is November.
Yeah.
So that's when I take my raise.
So last year, the budget was 107,817, but when you came into office, that was not your salary?
No, because I came into office in 23.
No, that's why you see the 23.
106, I'm sorry.
One, because we paid Tim and Martha, there was an overlap of a couple days.
More than a couple.
Yeah.
Well, Tim was paid from July 1st on. So Tim was paid from July 1st up until November.
So he was paid 97,361 or thereabouts. It doesn't matter. The 429,867 is the number.
Right, but on Martha's salary, do you remember, Anita or Martha, how many working hours was the former salary calculated on?
30.
Right. and you're-
Yeah,
And I went to 35.
and I think we increased it to 35, recognizing that you worked
Yes.
45. So part of the increase is just the increase in hours.
Yes.
In case anybody asks, I want to be able to explain it, and so that's very helpful.
So yes, Tim was at 30. I asked for 35 for this particular year to go to 35.
Yeah.
Because
So the selectmen's is an hourly rate?
No,
Everybody fills out their
it's
time
not.
card.
The salary based on hours.
we all signed,
But then we all do a lot more.
Yeah,
Right.
we
That
all,
seems a little redundant, but I mean, whatever.
well, the new payroll system will be different and we're waiting for that to come into play. So then anyone on salary will just go in electronically.
Right.
But there are some that still fill them out, time cards out by hand. We have Public Works that still punches the clock. And then we have those of us on salary or hourly rates that fill out an 8.5 by 11 piece of sheet. We could save on paper products if we could just get rid of the payroll sheets.
I know, because Bonnie had started it because you had people who were kind of underperforming, if you will, not working their hours, but I didn't know that it trickled up into salary. But
We were making a lot.
yeah,
Okay.
But it helps to break it all down. I mean.
no, that was her purpose. Yeah, that which is fine. So
Well,
Do we have a motion yet for the 429?
I'll move 429,867 or
At Nat
Did
seconds.
you read that? What was that number again, Fred?
429,867.
Thank you.
with a note to revisit in April on the intern, right?
Yeah.
Because that's not a small number.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
just so you know, the interview process for those interns is March 25th to April 2nd, 12th. And then offers are made between April 17th and the 26th. So by May 1st, we would know.
The next is human
Can
resources.
we use Suzanne since she's.
Oh, sure.
She's online. Can we
Yeah.
just do her quickly if you have, don't mind?
To get things rolling, I'll move the 129.73.
Hey,
Hi.
Suzanne.
I'll second that.
Susie.
Okay, I can tell you, yes, the game is tied up, okay? Old Lyme
Okay.
High School boys. I think it's 30-30, so make it quick. We're in the second half. I'm standing outside because it's too
I
noisy.
think we can. I
So-
think we
I
can.
think we can make it really
I think we're
quick.
good. I think they've
Yeah.
already made a motion to approve your budget.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks for the update on the
Okay.
team.
yeah.
You bet. Got to get back in there. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wait a minute.
I mean, just,
So Anita may know the answers to the questions of why is the postage down by 5,500 and why is tax contracted services audit down by 8,000? Has that been moved to?
No, it's, the last couple of years since that came out, I've taken on balancing, we're not paying the auditor the $8,000 to do tax. So I have been balancing, so they are not charging us for that fee.
Mhm.
So last year, previous year, tax had to absorb part of that fee. Well, that was because that was the first year we got hit with 28,000 in bank statement that was never budgeted. So that was part of the reason she had to tax had to hopefully pay for
Mhm.
the audit.
Well, thank you for doing that.
We budgeted it this year, so she has no charges for that. So that is why the 8,000. The reason why her postage went down is because her contracted services went up. QDS mails out her bills. And they charge it in a line part of her contracted services.
Mhm.
We also, Tax and I worked with, Webster Bank. We eliminated, breaks picking up to save on costs. We now are processing checks internally with a check scanner. So all checks are processed internally. Also, we do, like for the cash, we have a police escort and, one of us will go to the bank. With the police escort, they give us a ride and they bring us into the bank. So me, Tom, we will go and Tracy, we will go to the bank and drop off whatever cash to save on those fees.
Keep some of the process secret. Don't give away everything, you know.
Undisclosed times.
Yeah, undisclosed times. Yeah.
Okay.
Better than marking it down on your phone shower.
So did somebody make the motion
Yes.
and seconded?
Yep.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes.
That's the HR.
Oh, up to HR, you, in that middle of the page, basically, these are, for Jill's part-time position and, some dues for, annual measurement and annual membership and, recruiting purposes.
I'll move to 50,204.
second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The abstentions? Passes.
Counselor?
Nothing funky, it doesn't look like.
No, it looks pretty.
I will move the 160,266.
And I'll second.
$600 module purchase.
Did she provide that to you? Anita?
You're just getting numbers. Is that additional to?
Yeah, it was as of
Well, wait.
Tuesday this week, it's $600 for an additional module inside the onboard gov that we currently use.
You never gave me back.
What
So-
line would that go?
It would probably be under contracted services, I'm assuming, for, so,
But the
Basi-
bottom line should go up by $600, you
so
think?
basically, this is just on board that we use for appointments on all the committees. And they saw, a new, you can explain it,
They have a
'cause-
new module, that helps with the appointment process and it, allows us to create a form and email from within it. And if you're familiar with Onboard, that's how we track and keep everybody's contact information for our appointments and as well as their parties and everything versus having, Excel spreadsheets for all of these. It's all in one.
Mhm.
And it's linked to the website. If you hit the green members button on any of the pages, it brings you right to Onboard and tracks the history and everything else. So it's a nifty little tool and we really like it.
Oh, you know what else is not in here, Anita? That we talked about increasing her to 35 hours.
She said no. Remember, she said right now, no.
No, she told me this.
Revisited that.
She changed it.
She did, because that was one of the things that we talked about.
So do we need to come back to
Yeah.
town clerk?
Let's come back and I'll ask her to come if
Okay.
you want.
All right.
Right.
Let's revisit that, okay?
I'm good not having her here if that's the only adjustment, so.
What? You'd be good with it?
I would be good with it, yeah, so.
We'd get a,
Just with the right number, that's it.
yeah, with the right number. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any question. I don't have any reason she needs to come to
Right.
talk about that. But if we can get a right number
She
to
does
vote
have a
on.
$5,000 capital project to redo that office. Not redo by furniture, but research structuring. So Eric would be involved in, they're thinking about maybe utilizing the first door instead of the second door and doing some rearranging because that space behind Courtney is kind of dead space. So they might make that more of the greeter area and then, but that would be, we've got somebody who might volunteer some time on some helping arrange and then Eric will sketch it out and get it done. Okay, treasurer.
And you'll see our postage is already halfway through it. And it's only, halfway through. So we had to go up, especially because postage went up to 70 cents. We're hoping that with the new software that they now said hopefully in June, we should start migrating to the new software. There might be an ACH component to it that we could send money that way to vendors and that would cut costs on sending mail on checks.
Can you explain the note on the bank fees?
Okay, the bank is
Cause it looks, you go ahead and
Last year.
explain it.
last year was 28,539.
Yep.
This year we got the bill and it was 23,206. So they did go down. Why I kept the number the way it is, because we have made some changes. So I'm trying to see where it stands this coming year, because it went to check scanners and down on frames. I was kind of afraid to reduce it and go over. If you'd like to reduce it, that's fine with me. That's why I put the information on the site.
Where does that come?
Anita, excuse me, why is there zero billing as of December 31
Because they bill in January.
for the year past?
No, when they bill in January for it's.
Like it's a
what
calendar year.
the year. Yeah, they do it January with the bill.
Prospectively, it's just a
So
flat
that's the
fee?
bill- The bill I got was the 23,206.
But wasn't last year's bill, that was our, that,
28,
Don't we just,
No.
28,539.
I know what it was. I just remember when you came down to me with the white face, ashen, going, do you know what this is? So it was the program that Tim, and I'm not sure, David, if you were involved in that when they did something with Webster and they moved money to a higher yield account. Right? And then, but then there were fees associated
Right.
with doing that. And Anita coming in August, hadn't been there, I think maybe Kelly was here at that time.
I don't know.
Nicole had left, we were intermittent, and they made some changes. But nobody had written anything down to say there would be fees associated with it, so it was never budgeted for.
Usually those fees are netted out in a
No,
net
they
interest
do it
number.
differently. Webster Bank is an analyze, because they're giving us the 5% or 4.9.
They just bill us, and so it's not every month netted out,
They
right?
don't net it
Yeah,
out.
okay.
They do it separately. Most banks net it. They do
So
that
it
like-
offsets our net, so we are getting higher interest on the revenue side, but we need a new line item for the fees because it's actually a bill for the fees.
But Anita, are you saying that in January of this year, they billed us about $24,000 for 2024,
Yeah, for this, yes.
for the calendar year
Yeah,
2024?
And then the next bill will be January next year.
So how did you get from 24,000 to 35,000?
The paper says 30.
Was it 30?
It's at 30.
That's 30.
And Anita and I just had a meeting
The-
with Webster.
Well, I'm looking at the wrong line item. I've got 35,000.
Did you use the new sheet?
The new sheet from tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that's because the scanner's gonna cost us money, right? So we haven't had the scanner.
No, the scanner is new.
Yeah,
They were originally, Pax was gonna do, it was called, Lockbox. And she changed her mind because Lockbox wants everything shipped to Boston. And with the fees associated, we thought doing it in-house would keep the fees down. So that is another thing, July is gonna be our test. To see if we really do need something like a lockbox, but then they said that everybody would have to mail the checks to Boston. So a lot of people here come in and pay, so it really was not a good option.
so BJ, if you look at the 30,000,
I've got it. Yeah.
it's zero right now through 12/31.
Right,
Because the bill came in January.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm good with it.
okay.
You're just going from 24 to 30 is better than to 35.
What is because the material increase is here in audit, which went up $3,000. What's fixed asset software? It looks G-Works $10,000.
G-Works is our current software. Currently, we're only paying 6,500. Once they do the upgrade, because I talked to them, because when we signed the contract, it was supposed to be like $9,998. But I said, you haven't given me the product, so I'm not paying for it. So they reduced it down to about 6,500. But after they do the implementation next year will be $10,000.
Okay,
The fixed asset is the one that I'm getting now. The system, like I said, the last time was up there, released like 2017. So we're finally updating the fixed asset program, and then we start doing maintenance fee now at 100 a year.
would information technology be part of the
That's
fixed
probably
asset?
part of it.
Thank you. So I'll move the 310,372 for treasurer.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
Probate. Yes, is next.
That's kind of sad.
That's just
It's what
sad.
it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion for the 10,718.
Second,
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Any discussion?
1,718.
No discussion? Calling for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes. Assessors.
I think legal is going to be light. My understanding is there's something like 180 already.
Oh, there's been changes today in the state legislature.
Well,
They
it's,
just expanded it for another few days. you're gonna be able to appeal.
Yeah, so, but especially idiosyncratically for Old Lyme, the rejiggering, not just the overall kind of increase, because people across the state, on average, it's a 60% increase for values from 5 years ago. But in town, right now, the Board of Assessment Appeals has something like 180 folks that are gonna appeal. And so we've got $10,000 in legal. Is that enough?
So I
So,
remember
yeah.
Melinda talking about this when we met with her at first, and she said that actually after reval year, so after the reval this year, the majority of the legal fees will actually hit in 26, 27. And so that she would plan to increase the 26, 27 budget because that's the year they expect the majority of the fees to hit,
And it does say that.
based on history. It does.
I'm
yeah.
just knowing the cost of legal, 10 grand seems awful light.
Because I think she feels that most of them will hit after
After
July
July
1st of
1st.
26.
I understand, I'm just saying, even if it's to kickstart, whatever legal proceedings are happening. I mean, I'm happy to keep it the way that it is, but
She could also come back to us and ask for more.
you know what, she probably has better information now from the Board of Assessment Appeals.
It could be.
And,
I just will tell you that I don't know what the Senate did, but there was a bill to redo the veterans situation. And that is opening up the appeal process for everyone, from what I understood. She went to a meeting today and came back and was like, just like, nobody asked us if this is. the
So
way
should we wait?
I don't.
Do you think she
I
wants to
don't think it's
revisit
that.
this?
It's just like redoing, you can resubmit your grant list, there's things that are gonna change. The automobile information has changed. They've gone to a different system. If we decide to go to the system that they're suggesting, the Board of Selectmen has to approve it, so it will go through, because some towns will use that system, some towns will use the other system. There was a lot going on and she was reading off her phone, so she was not happy because it's going to extend the process. And she'll know more tomorrow once the actual wording that would have gone through the Senate would know today. So her lobbyist, the two lobbyists that work for the assessors, will be presenting that to her tomorrow.
I guess the year we did statistical reval, it was $11,000.
Okay.
And there were, 30 appeals. So if we've got 180 out of just the Board of Assessment Appeals, so that's 6 times that number. Just saying. So if she thinks that's enough to kick it off, that's fine. But it would be embarrassing to go to town meeting for legal fees.
Do you want me to text her?
If you think that she could,
Or
No,
come back to
we can-
her.
Yeah, but we can
budget
increase it,
again.
and if it's not spent, it's not spent. I mean, Kim is correct that when we asked, asked her, Melinda, and she kind of detailed the legal process timeline, she said it doesn't cost very much to respond to a complaint.
yeah,
And these things aren't going to go to trial. When the legal fees start ramping up is when they go to trial, and that's not likely until the subsequent fiscal year.
yeah,
But I have no
but
quarrel
There'll be an
with,
opportunity to carry this over.
Huh?
There'll be an opportunity to carry anything over.
Well, I have no quarrel with increasing it to 20,000. If we don't spend it, we don't spend it.
well, order of magnitude. So the reval was in 2020. I think the last reval was in 2020.
Seems correct.
And 2020, 2021, we spent 83 grand. 8,300. Then we spent 11 grand the following year. So if the cadence is the same for legal fees, right? We're not going to spend 20 grand overall this go around. It's going to be probably a fair amount more. And you can see BJ after that, it goes down to $1,000 and $600, right?
Mhm.
So if the split is actually closer to 60-40, and the overall bill is going to be 75 grand, let's say, this year is going to be significantly above 10
I'm
grand.
assuming you're.
My only admonition is that going to town meeting, because you need $32,000 in legal fees
Mhm.
for is,
Ugly.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Well, I mean, and also to, BJ's point, if we increase it, we can always roll it over to, if there's extra there.
so I would argue to increase it to 30 grand. And that's kind of out of the air.
Mhm.
So maybe it is observing to Melinda, the cadence of last go around and how many appeals there were. So if there were like 30 appeals and now there's 180 appeals, so that's a difference of 6 times. So it should be 120 grand of legal fees plus inflation.
I was gonna say, are you considering that legal fees have gone up?
Yeah. So I don't want to pick a number out of the air without maybe consulting
you
her,
like-
I think is.
I can have her on the phone in 2 minutes. Would you like,
I don't know if that gives her enough time to be thoughtful about the number, though.
but at least you can present to her what you're thinking and then she can be. Or you can, I
She can
mean,
decline to.
if you want to hold off, David, then I would just ask you that you call her tomorrow and explain your thinking so that she understands.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do that.
But,
Yeah.
but in terms of your timeline, isn't the 2021 budget analogous to the 25-26 budget 5 years ago?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we only spent $3,000 that year.
No, next to that, BJ.
The
That was the-
actuals is
that was the budget.
8,200.
Oh, I'm sorry,
92.
you're right.
Yeah.
The actual was 8,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'd increase it to 20,000. I don't think I'd increase it to 30.
I think it's gonna be a much bigger number. And
Like I said,
When do the hearings start? They start kind of.
They
March.
start in March.
Okay, so
They get,
it could come.
yeah, they get the decision, then they're gonna sue right after.
Okay, oh, I thought it was later. Okay, well, in that
well, they have
case,
to file the paperwork. They have to get everything in order, right?
that's.
And I'm not
We're talking about
It's a
the state of
complaint and-
appeals are in March. But then you go to Superior Court when you don't like that result.
right.
And some will and some won't.
So I'll give her,
Funded enough with whatever it takes. We should get that number.
yeah, so I'm happy to give her a call tomorrow morning.
I think you should, because I think also she'd love to run by you what happened in the legislature.
Right, so let's defer this one
Okay.
for a week.
Building, if you're
Flat-ish salaries, that's kind of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I mean, really nothing interesting.
I'll make a motion for the,
139.
no, 71.
I will second that.
Very good. That would do great. Job.
Okay, 139,071 on the table, going once, going twice. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Passes. Health Department.
I'll move.
$100,183 for the health department.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right?
Opposed, say nay. Motion, any abstentions? Motion passes.
Town hall budget starts at the bottom of that.
And over here, it's usually down a little, but it went up some too. It went down to 14,000, that is down in the Yankee budget, but it went up because we had the alarm system. That's we never had before, because it's done by the Valley Shore.
Question about the office supplies for town hall. So we have 13,000 budgeted. We've only spent 3,700.
So. Well, that was as of December 31st. So
Right,
you're-
but even if you
2
double
months.
it, you're only.
Michelle has been doing such a great job of finding things for cheaper. And not just one vendor. She's going out now and researching and.
But you also see the history, everything has been 13,000, 11,000, 10,000.
When you
Slight
start,
trend towards
It's
dropping
only
costs
after,
there.
it's only after the order the paper. And right now we haven't ordered the paper, but we order a large amount of paper because you have a good price.
Yeah,
And then we fill it downstairs.
okay.
So it's a timing issue.
envelopes, mailing, tax, and that comes out of your tax collector's office, but things.
When you go through a lot of paper during an election, right, there's a,
Not in our department, that would be registrars. They order some of their own supplies.
Oh, okay.
They have a budget that they have to do, and they have to order from specific things, but, I mean, it does come under their office, line.
Okay.
But I will tell you that, some of the things that we've done too for cost savings is we used to have paper printed with all the logos and the names. We don't do that anymore. Katie has templated everything. So you can, you have your template, you type on it, and then we just send it and save it. It just saves a ton of money. It's the kind of thing. We've found reductions in business cards where we were charging 80 for 500. Now we get them for $13.95 through CCM printing, and we've tried to reduce all of those costs as well. When there's a will, there's a way.
And the telephone is up because you talk on the phone so much.
I don't want it. I'm just gonna tell you, these bills, I really would love to start to figure out how to work. I mean, we have Comcast, we have Frontier, we have all these different things. And when I get the bills, I'm like, why are we paying all these different people for different things? So it's one of those things that we need to sit down with Tom and with the police department and all the different people, player factors that come into play. Because it would seem to me we should be getting a better price using one company all throughout town. And, and then we have cell phones for certain people, which is fine. And that's a separate account through Verizon. But
we talked about the same thing with regard to heating oil, I think.
yeah, and I realized that I forgot I think we're all set though, right? We talked about how we had the money for the fixing of the bladder. For yesterday,
Well, we're gonna take it, which basically, that account doesn't have too much left in it, but we're taking it out of another fund.
right, for Jim
As
and
long as they go to the. For the town, towards that money.
I know, and I forgot to tell them to put it on the budget this morning when I came in this morning, so, because it's a bid opening for the sewers. So I'll have to ask if I can amend the agenda. I just have to go grab my notes. There's a small issue with the bladder for the boiler downstairs that needs to be fixed. before we
Okay.
have an issue.
So in town hall, we have 245, 534. Any further questions or discussion?
Did you need to amend that? Just on the-
No, that's a totally separate
Okay.
thing for this year's
For
expense.
this year.
And if we just need to move some money
Okay.
around and with your approval. I'm gonna go grab that. You guys can do this and I'm sure you can get through insurance and special deductions without me. I'll go grab mine.
So I'll move to 245, 534. I don't think it's been moved, right?
Right,
I'll second.
I'll second it.
can beat you to it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you down there.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Passes.
Sure. Insurance is kind of what it is.
So it is, yeah.
Anita, remind me again, because we were at, for health insurance,
Yeah.
we were kind of like in the high 500s for a long time. And then last year, we had a significant bump.
Does that have to do with your pool of people?
It has to do with.
And like the ages and
Mhm.
stuff.
But there was a reason last year, because the pool hasn't changed that much unless we have one person who.
Well, someone's husband loses their job and all of a sudden they're.
Yeah, I know, but it's a big
Yeah.
enough pool that
Mhm.
it should not, one or two
One or two
people should
people.
not
Okay.
increase our overall expense by $200,000.
If that's the case, we should just give them their separate policy all by
Or
themselves.
just the 250. It's okay. It's a curiosity question.
No, what it is currently now we're up to. It's gonna be 36 people on insurance, and I did a whole.
Do you have a history?
Oh, no, I just did a breakdown how I came up to the numbers.
That's okay. But
And we also were going up to 19% on the co-premium,
from 18.
18.
But my question is last year, so it's history, I know, but we went from we spent 570 grand and we budgeted 725 last year. I can talk to you tomorrow
23,
about it.
24, we had budgeted 747. So we actually bumped the budget down some.
But we had a big, budget the year prior too, and we significantly underspent. So the history of actual expenditure is pretty low until last year. That's why.
We also have a few employees that are moving to full-time, correct?
Yes, we have some that went to full-time, we have another one going to full-time this year. And
Right.
we have one opening for another police officer that's already, it's in budget.
So, but
So there was a total of 36 people.
I'll talk to you tomorrow about it because it is last year that I'm curious.
Spreadsheet.
With a different question that you may or may not be able to answer is, to what extent is the increase attributable to an increase in the per person rates?
10%.
Hmm?
10%.
That was your assumption for the
No, that's
822?
per phone call, I had with the state is, right now, they're talking, because we're in New London, we're gonna get a 1% discount, but our rate is gonna go up between 8 to 12, or no, 8 to 11, so it would bring us to 10 at the highest.
Mhm.
So so it's basically.
That's where you got the 10% that's in the
And I
note.
want
Yeah.
a higher percentage.
They won't confirm that until May, right?
Normally March, sometime in March.
Well.
So we should hold off if we might till March.
We can revise it.
Yeah.
No, let's vote on it.
But I have this, if you want to take this and then we'll talk about it for this year.
Thanks.
Just got the other.
Yeah, sure.
So BJ, you're looking for a motion for that?
Yep.
I'll move $1,159,805.
I'll second.
And to seconds, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Passes. I don't think we have a lot of discretion with respect to special
No, That
deductions.
was like done, yeah.
Yep.
All right, I'll make a motion for the 558, 250 for the special deductions.
Second,
A second.
Ed seconds. But Anita,
I'm just gonna say that there is a chance that it should break even. Because now I'm changing Vicky to 35, so the pension calculation might be a little off. So it's still,
Closer.
the other one we underspent, so it won't wash.
close enough. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right,
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions, motion passes. Okay, debt service. We really have to pay it.
We're going to debt service.
Mhm.
Correct.
Is that?
It's 215, I think, is the, it's 215.
Got it.
So
Well,
the increase from this year's budget of 431 to the 702, 350, is that all attributable to the senior center bonds?
Yes, because we paid off the other one, we
Mhm.
paid off the other one, so that's one line. And attached behind the spreadsheet is both of the schedules. So you can see.
Okay,
I'll move the 702,350.
When we did this year, as a bond premium, we did pay the first interest payment of the 77.9. Having given the center fund 33.
Mhm.
It was for.
We did that for premium.
Yeah.
And now I'm waiting for, I won't have final numbers until the project just takes out if there's any extra money left.
okay.
That's a cash issue. That's not.
So Michelle, that's Fred and David on the motions. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? That passes. Okay, minutes of February 11.
So DJ, I just have this one issue with the mechanical repair. So I don't know if you want to amend the agenda to add this after debt service or after minutes. But I just need to bring you up to date because we're just going to need a motion to move some money from one account to another.
I'll make a motion to add to the agenda a discussion of repairs and maintenance for town hall.
Okay. At the motion, is there a second?
Second.
Fred seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Liz, thanks for coming.
Any abstentions? That motion passes. So that'll be number, let's put that as number 5. And renumber the others.
Elizabeth found it. She wrote me an email the other day and said, I don't think you're being transparent because you're not telling us what the mill rate is. And so I explained the budget process to her. And I said, you really, as the voter, to come to the town meeting and tell us yay or nay on the budget. And once you tell us yay or nay on the budget, then we can set the mill rate. And I said, we'll give you some scenarios of what it's going to look like. But I said, you voters, town meeting, get to vote. And she said, oh. And she goes, well, what is the finance board doing? And I said, they have weekly meetings. Come join us. We're all here.
That's just a citizen,
She
a
wanted to
curious
sit
citizen.
Learn.
Riveting.
My husband texted that my kids aren't asleep yet. I said, well, you can dial into the meeting and let them listen to the meeting.
Okay,
So,
what's up?
so basically, there was a plan to add some antifreeze in the mixture. Believe me, now I'm not a mechanical engineer, so the expansion tank for the heating system is 18 years old. They were gonna do the new antifreeze. They went to do it and they realized there were some problems. Benedetto had come in and he said that the 18-year-old tank shows some signs of needing replacement. And if the tank were to fail, we would lose all antifreeze and water in the system and have no heat from the boiler for 6 weeks. Because it would be a 4 to 5 week lead time for a replacement. So the antifreeze cost was supposed to be about $5,550, and a new expansion tank would be $7,452. The antifreeze price is expected to probably go down a little because there's the change of taking out and all this stuff. So I don't know, like you get a rebate because you're giving some back. I don't know. Total is $13,002. Basically, there's $6,500 allocated in Fund 4 for town hall improvements. There's a $927 balance of carryover item for number 158 for town hall improvements. That's a total of $7,427.69. The balance needed is $5,574.31. We can allocate additional money from Fund 4, or we can use the town hall repair and maintenance line, which the current balance is $6,050, leaving less than 500 for the remainder of fiscal year 24-25.
So-
Anita might have more.
And I
She's worked with.
I went through the numbers, like the projects that were left over, so the building fund. That fund would have the 14,000 to use. It brings it down to not very much left in it, but it's very. So if you want to do partial, full, but your choice.
This is the furnace that was purchased new when this part of the town hall renovation project was done.
18 years, it's that
Yeah.
truck, yeah.
The glycol, the antifreeze, typically that's replaced in most systems every year. Do we not budget for that, or do you know when the last time it was? You probably don't, but when it was replaced, because it breaks down and so it becomes much less efficient over time. So I'm surprised that we haven't budgeted for it.
I'm not saying that we didn't. I think we did have a budget, and that's what they were coming to do. They were coming
For the
to.
$5,500.
No, the 5,500 is to fill the new tank up. But he said there'll be a change because he doesn't think we're gonna use as much as what he's estimating. That's
Yeah.
what Eric explained to us yesterday at Board of Selectmen.
Yeah,
So he said that 5,500 should probably come down a little,
yeah.
maybe not a lot, but
But the need right now is 13 grand. We got 14 grand in an account or something like that, right?
So my question, and I'd be happy to move money if we think we're not going to need it for the balance of this fiscal year. So what accounts, based on the expenditures to date, seem to have a surplus?
The one, that I was referring to, was basically Fund 4. That was the, townwide building improvement fund. And
Okay,
that had the whole 40,000 available to use from that fund. The other one was Eric was giving me his lines that he can use. For what he had.
so he indicated there was 6,500 in the fund. But I think that 6,500 allocated for this particular antifreeze project, and then when it became a bigger project. So
That could be
I think
too.
he had 6,500 allocated for that.
He probably would not be okay taking an operating line item like repairs and maintenance down to zero right now. And if we've got it in a fund, we can always move money in the budget.
Well, he just, all he does is. When he builds it, he just codes it to 04.
when I hear Martha asking or raising is whether there is today in the budget a line item for this very purpose.
I thought that, I'm just a little confused because he said that there was money for the antifreeze project for this year.
Okay,
There's a maintenance thing.
It was a
Yeah.
maintenance thing. And so that's why I think this, he's saying to take 6,500 out, and I thought that was because this antifreeze was going to be done. He had talked to us about this before.
so he was budgeting for repairs and maintenance on some of this.
That is town hall improvements, that's 65 that is already allocated in that fund, yes.
For the boiler.
It wasn't the water, just that it's going.
Okay,
But that's part of the 14,000 in the town hall improvement fund?
so he
Yeah,
said,
that is in, yes, that is.
so that is part of this.
I couldn't expense it, but that's it, yeah, that's fine.
Well, that's why I think he's saying that from the 6,500 that you take them. Yeah. So with using these two funds, the fund for 6,500 and $927 from his last,
His carryover.
his carryover from line 158 to use up. Gives us 74. We need 74 more. So allocate more money from Fund 4 or use the town hall repair and maintenance line, which is currently at $6,050. Leaving less than 500 for the remainder. So if we need another emergency, we have to fund it.
Using the carryover makes sense. Like,
Yeah, that's easy. Yeah. But So the fund, if we drew down on the fund and it was zero after we did this budget period, we could allocate, we could replenish that fund in this budget that we're gonna pass in May. So that's an alternative too. I would advocate taking it out of the town hall improvements fund.
Townwide building improvement, Fund 04.
So
Can we also use up the 920?
So do you want to use up, Anita, use up the 927 in that
Yeah.
carryover line?
Yeah, we do.
So just as Eric has stated it out. I'm gonna let you do, because you two have managed these numbers back and forth all day,
I'm sorry.
yesterday. I'm good with it. We have it, so it's not like I'm.
Yeah,
So the balance needed is the 55, 74, 31. So basically, right here is all he's asking is, because he has the 65 in there.
Mhm.
He's just asking for an additional 55, 74, 31.
I know.
out of fund, out of the
Out of
fund.
fund.
for-
Private fund for,
Yes.
So 5575.
Sure. 55, 75. Sure.
and I need you all to pray that nothing happens in the next 6 weeks.
Well, you can come back and,
No, I can't be without heat for 6 weeks, but I'm saying.
oh,
Pray that-
right.
At least for the next 4 weeks.
Yeah.
all right, so do we need a motion to move the 5575 from
Yes.
Fund 4 to
Which that move is gonna use. Use from Fund 4.
Okay.
For this project.
I'll make the motion for the repair of the heating system
Out of fund 4.
out of Fund 4.
Second? Somebody?
Second.
Candace? Is that you?
Yep.
Okay, any discussion? Any, we'll vote for it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? You got it.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate it, because I know you don't like last minute things, but I completely forgot this morning. Yeah.
Okay, so our public commenter has left and therefore I think, say what?
59, 55 Shoreline Champs.
What?
Good news.
By Suzanne Bennett.
Yeah.
So, you know, really good meeting.
Yeah.
And Chase Gilbert set the state record over the weekend too.
Is she a junior now or?
He's a junior.
I remember which was a question.
So let's look at the minutes of the 11th, 2 weeks ago.
I can jump in. I had one suggestion, make it read a little bit better. The section about the Lyme Youth Services Bureau. Suggesting, the way it reads now is, Mrs. Seidner stated that there's a building construction going on with 75% coming from a renovation grant that's provided to nonprofits dealing with human services of the cost. So anyway, I was going to suggest Mrs. Seidner stated there is a building construction going on with 75% of the cost covered by a renovation grant provided to nonprofits dealing with human services.
Right, the phrase of the cost,
All right.
Michelle, slip down to the next line.
Is there a better way to do that? Okay.
Yeah, you see that of the cost? So just move of the cost to after 75%. And then the other comment I have is the household hazardous waste. You referred to the River Council of Governments, RiverCog. Its official name is the Lower Connecticut River Valley Council of Governments. Lower Connecticut River Valley Council of Governments. Anybody else have any comments, questions? And I'll ask for a motion. Please,
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Ed and Matt, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Do I have to abstain? I wasn't here.
If you weren't here, you have to abstain.
Abstain.
Candace abstains.
Honorably.
Well, I don't know about that. Martha, just a minute before we adjourn, you said that the bids for the sewer project were open this morning, and what was the outcome
There's like 50,000.
in terms of the dollars compared to the expectation?
I think our total was about 88,900,000. It was around it up.
Yeah.
However,
Connect
the other bids
construction,
that have been open have been Old Colony and also the
Thanks.
main, where they call it main trunk, for the shared main trunk going into New London. Those didn't open. However, at the bid opening for Miami Beach, there were no bids. No one bid on the project.
That's weird.
It's very telling, but
Scott's gonna be.
Carlos from the state was like shocked that there was not a one bid. Old Lyme Shores, from what I understand, and I don't have all the particulars, but you know, their boards both dismantled. Supposedly they're rebuilding their boards. They might be ready. They will put it forward to their members in June again, but I understand there's some discussion that they are not abiding by it. They're going to reverse their decision to have the bioxide station where they said they could have it because that was done by a group of people. They kind of, my understanding is they took the road legal route and didn't tell people what they were doing. Because the land that it was supposed to be on had been gifted to the association for recreational use.
So,
So I don't know how that's gonna play out.
with the bid for Soundview plus our share of the main trunk, my understanding is per homeowner, 270 folks down at Soundview, it's about $1,400 a year. Was that also discussed or no? In terms of the financing costs over 20 years times the 2%.
What we 1,400 over 20 years. Is that-
Each year.
We have not done that. I mean, Steve told me the other day that he was thinking bids that were open today would come in around 4. They did not. They came in higher.
Yeah.
So I haven't had a chance to go over things with Steve, see what he thinks. He was online, like just his face, again. Get a reaction.
But we've got the numbers now to be able, and they are what they
Basically,
are.
Yeah, but we
So-
don't have any, it doesn't pump. All you've got numbers for are pipes,
Why wasn't the bid for the,
because the pump station is in,
oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
it's on the property now. But it was supposed to be in the parking lot.
Right.
Then it came to the corner of Portland and pond.
So basically, there's no satisfaction because we've got half the information.
So the pump station wasn't bid because
It's all built in.
the location is now in question because the.
No, the pump station and the bioxide station are two different things.
I'm sorry.
So the pump station's in Miami, bioxide station's in Old Lyme Shores.
And the pump station was part of the overall Miami bid.
My understanding.
What's
And
in
nobody-
Old Lyme Stores, the what?
The bioxide station, that's what makes the pump station not smell. So
That's the
really,
most important.
ideally, they're supposed to be a little closer together.
You
But-
think?
Yeah, that's so far.
I didn't plan this out.
Okay.
I just wanted to know, and I still don't understand why there's 2 engineering.
You
groups.
think no heat for 6 weeks is bad?
Motion to adjourn.
So, yeah.
Second.
Thank you
We're
all
done.
so much because